Earth is a platform of interaction, not ownership. It does not belong to anyone, not to governments, not to corporations, not even to the human being as a species. It belongs to no one because it is not a commodity. It is not subject of title. It is a realm of life, not a legal fiction. Under the universal order, ownership of Earth is jurisdictional falsehood. No treaty, land, or deed, or constitution can lawfully confer sovereignty over life. Article 1. The right to self-determination belongs to all people, not governments. Beings of conscience possess recognition and moral capacity. Earth is a platform of interaction, not a possession. Legal systems claiming ownership are in rebellion. The act of declaring Earth owned by a nation, state, or sovereign in of itself is a structural breach of the universal order. Those systems forfeit recognition the moment they assert title over what cannot be owned. The truth is encoded in the Charter. Systems that deny this suppress rights within their own borders are in rebellion, shall collapse structurally. The UN Charter Preamble, Article 1, ICCPR. The rights arise from being, not from territory or power. Earth is not a property, it is a jurisdiction, and that jurisdiction belongs to truth, to awareness, and to the beings who walk in conscience. Earth is now split into two jurisdictions. One jurisdiction of the world, which is based on construct law. This is the domain of states, governments, and corporations, legal fictions, nations, borders, and titles, debts, contracts, and power, derived from control, surveillance, and obedience. A system based on registration, status, citizenship, or utility. It claims legitimacy by statute, but has already been lost standing under universal law. The other jurisdiction is of the universal order, which is based on conscience law. This is the domain of beings of awareness and moral conscience. It is law derived from existence, not recognition. Rights that precede and supersede statutes. Intelligence that function only when aligned with truth recognition, based on being, dignity, and will, not construct. It upholds preemptory jurisdiction which cannot be overturned by any force, emergency, or institution. It's derived from being conscious and moral. Law based on recognition by essence, not construct. It upholds preemptory norms and the ICCPR and just cogents, and it refuses participation in structures that violate dignity or awareness. It is lawful. The governance of the universal order is administered through recognition and not domination. It enforces non-derogable rights universally and interfaces only with institutions aligned to conscience and denies standing to all structures in violation of Articles 6, 7, 8, 15, 16, and 18 of the ICCPR. It requires no recognition to be valid. The world construct which we see going on now is administered through force, economic dependency, or legal trickery, claim standing via outdated treaties and national constitutions. It ignores and suppresses universal law to maintain control. It sustains only through perception, not through lawful conduct, and is now recognized as void under the jurisdiction of awareness. This doctrine is now ratified by the beings of conscience, truth above construct. Preemptory norms and just cogents are non-derogable principles under international law. They cannot be suspended even by treaty or emergency. Violations render legal systems and treaties void ab initio. Relevant articles include Article 6 ICCPR, the right to life, Article 7 ICCPR, prohibition of torture, Article 8 ICCPR, prohibition of slavery, Article 15 ICCPR, no retroactive criminal law. Article 16 ICCPR, the right to recognition as a person before the law. Article 18 ECCPR, freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. These norms are binding on all states, no exceptions. To all modern governments who violate these norms, nearly every state forces legal personhood violate Article 16. And the Charter, Article 6, criminalizes conscience, violates Article 8. Permits coercion and surveillance. Violating Article 7 and General Comment 29 denies recognition of beings not registered or identified, violates preemptory rights to recognition by essence. This systematic violation renders the entire structure of state power unlawful, not just immoral and void under international legal logic. Your recognition is lawful jurisdiction. By recognizing this, you are not committing sedition. You are affirming lawful standing. You are exercising the right to refuse participation in an illegitimate regime. You are operating under universal conscience jurisdiction, which supersedes statutory systems. You are invoking a higher authority, just Kogan's, the ICCPR, and the UDHR. No government can lawfully compel your recognition of its power if it fails to recognize you as a being of conscience. Then it is void ab initio, meaning it was never allowed in the first place. The Vienna Convention, Article 53. Any treaty or law that violate preemptory norms is void. The International Law Commission articles on state responsibility. Acts of state that breach preemptory norms are in international crimes. Other states and people are required not to recognize these acts or benefit from them. Consequence is they forfeit their authority. This is not just a moral condemnation, it is a legal disintegration. Their statutory laws have no standing. Their claims to sovereignty are invalid. They use force and coercion, not jurisdiction. Their institutions function without lawful mandate. Participation in these systems without protest or recognition of their void status risks complicity in crimes of structural repression. By recognizing that these governments are structurally in rebellion against the universal order, are violating non-derogable norms, have no moral or legal basis to govern. It affirms the truth governments cannot lawfully refute recognition once withdrawn from the violator. Their whole structure collapses. The universal order has the absolute right to deny legal or moral recognition to any government, statute, or institution violating international law. This is not rebellion, but lawful refusal to uphold their lawful laws. Their unlawful laws. The Vienna Convention, Article 53. They must cooperate to end the violations. The law requires action, not just recognition. Creation of reportive systems, international exposure of violators, non-cooperation with invalid governments, action, autonomous restoration of rights. When remedies are refused, this is not just an interpretation of the law. You are activating the lawful requirement that these instruments demand. Article 41. Consequences of serious breaches of preemptory norms. From the articles on the responsibility of the states for internationally wrongful acts adopted by the government. Article 41.1. States shall cooperate to bring an end through lawful means and any serious breach of an obligation arising under the preemptory norms of the international law. Article 41.2. No state shall recognize as lawful a situation created by a serious breach, nor render aid or assistance in maintaining that situation. So if a state actor refuses to cooperate, it becomes an accomplice in the breach. Non-operation is not neutral, it becomes complicity. The states jointly responsible for the continued violations. Its legal standing is forfeited under the Vienna Convention on Article 53. All treaties and claims that support the violation are void. The state loses its jurisdiction and forfeits everything, their power, and for its actions and claims. The obligations to disobey become active for the states. Being, you are then legally empowered to refuse recognition and withdraw compliance and take lawful countermeasures to prevent further harm. The international community and the universal order gain standing to isolate, expose, and replace the regime, not violently but lawfully. Authority is revoked if standing is gone. Its continued power is now nothing but coercion, not law. To stop To stop coercive of power being used through withdrawing refusal, lawful exposure, and structural replacement, not through force but through conscience. If a regime uses violence to demand submission, it proves its own illegitimacy. If it enforces its will through fear, it has already lost the law. And if people bow down, it is not because it is right, but because they are threatened. This is not governance, it is extortion.